Welcome to this beautiful tutorial. This is the e-learning system, and this presentation I'm going to be showing you how the instructor modules work. Now this is the login phase, which here the instructor can sign up. Then if the instructor forgets the password, he can then click on the forgot password. But right now I'll be using a registered account for testing of this application. Okay, when an instructor logs in, the first thing the instructor will see is the dashboard. Now, instructions, you can see here, this dashboard displays these courses assigned to you and evaluated by student after assessment. So results are organized by session and semester. Use the drop down below to select a session and view course results good per semester. Now, this is the instruction. So you can see here, this instructor has already done created an assessment, and students have already commented on the assessment. And look at this, for example, look at computer architecture. Now you can see the overall rated score is 64.62%, and this is the bar chart that shows the 64.62%. Now coming down here, you will see how the courses have been evaluated. You can see the first one is availability, is the lecture available? Now communication clarity, then course content, how the student evaluated the course content, course relevance, engagement, fairness, learning materials, overall experience, professionalism, punctuality, teaching quality, use of technology, workload. So this is how the students evaluated each of this, right? Each of these criteria. Now coming here is where the instructor will see all the comments, right, made by that course. You can see like all these are rated. Why? These ones we use a sentiment analysis. These are sentiment analysis where the text is being classified into negative, positive, and neutral. Right. So the first one here is additional comments. It means that after students have evaluated the course, then there's an additional comment. You can see this one, it was okay. The first one is improvement, okay, strength, okay, right? So these are comments made by students, right? So these are the, you can see the first one here, right? It classified it as neutral. Then the second one here is actually positive, right? And this it also classified this as neutral, right? Now let's assume we want to change this session to see other ones, right? So you can see this the structural algorithm is actually poor, which is for 6.15%, and it shows how it's also analyzed here. Okay, now let's go to the select course. Now, this select course section, these are the all the courses we pop up here for the instructor to choose the courses he or she has been assigned to. So he has to select them and then assign it to him or and then assign it to himself or herself so that he can be able to produce lecture materials and other things for this particular course. Now look at this one, computer architecture. These are the courses we have already inserted into the database course table. Now this you can decide to change the credit units. It depends if the credit unit change. We can change it here. Maybe just say if it's two, then you can decide to choose the session, right? So remember that the admin side can close the session, but if this has been added, you can see course already assigned to this staff in this session. So course already assigned this, so he can't reassign it again for himself, right? So this is where the lecturer actually explicitly selects the courses he wants to teach for this e-learning platform, right? Now the now if you click on this third one, which is the assigned course, this is where the lecturer will see all the courses assigned, and it can decide to archive them. I can let's archive this one, so it's out here, so it's just one. So the reason why we're archiving is so that the lecturer, because as time goes on, all these places will be filled up with courses. So a lecturer needs to be able to see the ones that are active in that correct section, right? They're having the close to make it easy for the lecturer. So that's why we provide the functionality for the lecturer to archive or unarchive, right? So here, this is, let's assume this is course 102. Now, the lecturer can unassign only if you can see the instruction. These are the courses you have selected. You can unassign a course only if no student has enrolled in it. You may also archive courses to keep your list organized. Now, use the search bar below to quickly find a course you have selected. If your assigned list becomes too long, consider archiving other ones, right? So yeah, you can use the search bar to search for only. Okay, but right now we only have one because we have archived so many of them. Yeah, right. Down, you can't actually. Let's assume I want to unassign. You can see I can't actually unassign because you can see here you can. These are the courses you can unassign a course only if no students have enrolled. So it means that there are students have actually enrolled here in this course. Right? So I've already this archive is working now. Let's go to stream. Okay, you can see this is how the stream works. So the standard is, for instance, this course is what? Let me check this course. Is stream. Okay, go to stream. All right. Uh, Let me try again. This is the assigned course. So this is computer programming one. Okay, let's go to stream. Now let's use. Okay, I already have module one here, which is introduction to software engineering. So let me add another module, introduction to programming. Right, let me just use introduction to programming. Now let me just add description. Let me put programming here. Then add module. Now I can see I've already added the module which comes on top of here, right? Now this is real time, right? This is real time because immediately I'm adding it, the students that have registered for this course will be seeing it in real time in their own end, which I will show you, right, in my next video. So here in this place here, I can decide to add the units for these, like just like I have introduction to programming, so the units can be what is programming language, that is unit one. Let me use unit one. What is programming language? So I can decide to add the content of what we're going to be achieved concerning what is programming language, advantage, branches of programming language to use, and so on and so forth. So I will add the unit, right? So it's added. So if I open this accordion, now you can see this is the unit, and I can decide to add my PDF file because right now I only allow PDF file because it's easily readable on the web content here, right? So if you're using a doc file, if you're using JavaScript, using Node.js, so you need something like a Marmot library, and if you're using the PDF file, most of the time if you want to use iframe, sometimes um, I can decide to use iframe if I want to, but right now we only allow the PDF, right? So I can decide. Let's assume that I upload this PDF here. This is a PDF. Okay, is this a PDF? Okay, this is a PDF. So I will upload this. Now I've uploaded the content for this particular unit. So the students can be able to see this, right? So this is the content. The same can be able to see this. And I can comment, okay, like please read this unit content. Click enter. I can see all the instances in real time, which I will show you. The student can also comment on their own end, and then I will still see it here, right, in real time. It will show a notification that one student have actually commented on this, right? So that is how this site is being built, right? So yeah, I can decide to create more units, and I can also delete units if I want to. I can delete module if I want to, right? But I've not added it here, but I will put a button here for delete, like if I want to delete a unit, but I know I can't actually delete a module first. So if just like this unit has a foreign key, which is a module ID, and the same thing attachment also. So if for me to be able to delete the module entirely, I have to make sure that the module doesn't contain any child records, right? So that is it for this course stream. So the only thing I'll need to add here, which I'll add it completely, is not hard. So it's also put a delete button here. And for the unit, I'll put a delete button here. And also to edit, and then also edit button here in real time. And that is what I'm going to add in here in my next session, right? So that it's this live stream will be complete. Okay, let's move to the next one. So this is the assigned course. So you can see that the unassigned, the archive, and ghost stream is actually working fine. Now, this is the archive courses. These are all the courses of archive. I can decide to unarchive them here, right? I can decide to unarchive this one. So I've already unarchived this one. So if you go to the assigned course here, you can be able to see the courses has been unarchived, right? Now create question. So yeah, these are the two courses that are unarchived, right? That is only what I can see here for now. Now, these are the two courses. I can decide to create MCQ, but as time goes on in other versions, I'm going to be adding theory questions and subjective here, create theory and subjective, right? Although it's already here, but the false positive rate of the machine automatically grading the theory question is actually not that up to 70%, right? Because even if I do it here, that means I have to do manual solution, which I'm trying to avoid in this system for now. But in the version 2, I'm going to include that, right? I'm going to include theory. Okay, now if I click on this create MCQ, right, now you can see the instruction. If you want to use a CSV sheet to populate question, download the template by clicking the download button. Fill your question without altering the CSV format. Upload the CSV to populate the database. To auto-generate question, upload a PDF or Word document and click auto-generate question. To manually create MCQ questions, click create MCQ manually. Now all these ones are working, so I can start to create manually. Now this one, it allows you to, in case your question contains picture like this, let's assume, let me browse a picture here. Let's assume this is a picture and I will save this picture. Okay, say what what is the name of this image and what is the benefit. So it makes it easy, right? Then I can decide to, let me just add rubbish here. Let me just add nonsense. Delete it later. Okay, select the answer. Let's assume the answer is C, so I'll save. You can see it here, right? So I can decide to edit it. When you edit, you can see it here, right? I can decide to edit it or delete the question, right? You can delete, which is actually working. I've already tested it, so you can actually delete. So the reason for this is that it allows you like try in case there's a picture, you can add the picture. Now for this download template, we have a template that if you don't want to use the manual way of creating the questions, you can download the CSV file and then upload your question. Now this CSV file will contain by default, it contains one that will guide you of how to, you can be able to fill the questions and the options and also the answer, right? So I already have one. So let me try to populate it from this. So I'll choose this file, then click on download. So this is it. Then I will upload the CSV, and now it's here. You can see it here. So this is what in the CSV file, right? It has been uploaded. Now for the auto generate, okay, I don't want to do manual, I don't want to do this, but I have a note that I want the machine to just auto generate it. I don't have that strength. I don't have that. I don't want that stress of manually creating questions or these ones. So I want to use this. What would I do? I'll just need to go here. So remember that it's only PDF and Word document that is allowed here in this system. So let me just choose anyone. Let me choose this generally correct, right? Let's assume this is a document, the lecture document, right? So I will generate. So it will take a little time. So let's wait. Okay, it has generated a question for me, but now it won't save that database. I will explicitly, as an instructor, search because based on this AI and it generates a question, so there might be some false positive rates. I need to explicitly check it and then choose the one I need to save the database. I'll look at the first one. What's the primary focus of this? Okay, I can say, okay, this is a good question. This is actually a good question. Uh, this is a good question. This is a good question. This is a good question. Okay, let me save all. So I can try to save all. Once I save all, you will see all of them here with their answers, right? You can see them here. Right. So what's the primary focus of this? The answer is actually B, which is quantifying this. Yes, quantifying the complexity of single metaphor and multi-level metaphor. Okay. You can see it has actually saved it for me and everything here is working fine, right? So that is how I will keep on. I can still keep on generating more if I want to. Okay, so I'll generate more. You can see the question from that is different from this one right now, but I can keep on doing generating and generating until I get tired of generating, right? So you can see now I've currently have 31 questions here for this particular course. Now the reason is this because during exam we need to have more than at least if there are over 200 students writing the course and you want to set 70 questions and each of them contains 1 mark, which I'm going to explain here. You need to have so many questions, at least minimum 500 questions in the data bank, so that if the students are writing the exam, it can be able to randomly select the 70 questions for each of the students and to make sure that each student does have the same questions, right? So that's what I'm going to show you guys very soon after this video. Okay, we have done this. So we have showed you how we can be able to create questions. That is how we can do it for the other course here too. The same pattern, the same way. Now let's create an assessment. So here, remember that for now, for this version, we only have one type of assessment, which is the MCQ, right? So that is what we have in this version. So as time move on, we're going to be adding other types of assessments here. So now let's create the assessment. Okay, before I create the assessment, let me go back, create assessment. So currently now, these are the assessments I've already created, right? These ones are the assessment I've created. And you can say, okay, let me just create new one. Now, currently, you remember that these are the two courses that are not archived, right? So let's assume I want to create assessment for this. Let me call this one data structure new assessment one, right? Now, I provided this field because in the future, we're going to be having different assessment type or exam type, right? That's why I just for now I will leave it at MCQ for now, all right, for this version. Well, let's assume that the exam is starting right now, right? I will choose the exam starting right now. Then the duration of the exam, let's use let me use 10 minutes, right? So the questions are seven and the total score per question, let me use 5, which means 7 times 5 is like 35 questions. Now it's left for me to enable proctoring. So if I enable this proctoring, when the student is writing the exam, the system will automatically be recording the student live session and then saving it in the cloud and then watching the student gazing and then make sure that the student does it, although you see the screen, because the application is of two type, which is a desktop application and the web application. But for now, I'm just showing this presentation using the web part, right? But these exam parts need the desktop. The reason is this: with the desktop application is built, it enables the screen to be easy. It enables us to have full control of the hardware components of the system, right? So we can seize the screen and make sure that the student cannot snipe, the student cannot copy, and even if the student want to snap, we have an object detection to detect that and keep that in the log, which I'll show you guys in this video, right? Okay, so let me just assume that this is a normal exam and then I create an exam. So I've already created this exam. So if you go back, you can be able to see this exam, right? Now this exam I've created, right? So you can see the exam is I have 7 question days. Now the next thing I need to do is to select students that are eligible. I actually did it to I specifically did it. I don't want to automatically do this because there are some scenario where a list of students will be sent to the instructor to check if they're eligible to write assessment or not. So I don't want to do it automatic, so that's why I leave it like this, right? But at the student end, the student can be able, if the student register for this course, the student can be able to see this, and then at the end, assign his or herself to this particular assessment. So it's left for the lecturer to decide to remove that student or leave that student, right? Okay. So let me click on this for now. If I click on select student for now, we only have one student in this system. So I'm going to be testing more on a real life system next after everything is well complete with so many in real life classroom with many students, right, to see how this to work. So I'll add this student to the assessment tool. So I've added it, so it lives here, right? So that is how this one works, right? About this, I can try to archive, I can try to delete it, but I can't actually delete this exam right now because I've already added student, right? I've already added a student to this, so I can't delete this particular assessment. But if there's no student selected for this, I can easily delete it and then create another one. I can archive, right? So this is where all the archive assessments go to. If you click on this, you see all the archive assessments here. right? Which has already been done. Okay, I can decide to unarchive if I want to. So let's move to the next one. This is the assessment. Now, this assessment will show the running exams and the expired exams. You can see this one here, right? This is the exam. This is the assessment that has been created, and you can see that this assessment is currently running, right? You can see it's currently running, and you can see exam running. The time left is 0 hour 5 minutes 56 seconds, and it's running currently, right? Because we say to start immediately. Now look at these other ones. They have actually expired, and you can see the result has been announced because when exam finishes, right, it will change to announce result because the instructor needs to announce the result for the students to be able to see the result. It's not that the system doesn't calculate automatically. The system have already calculated automatically, but we did in a way that the student will not see it immediately until the instructor announced the result, right? Just like the way we did it, the way that session can be closed, where even an instructor cannot do anything if a session has been closed, right? But multiple sessions can run concurrently. That is how this e-learning system is built. Okay, okay. So you can see this one is currently running, but there's one other things I need to explain here, right? I can see these are already assessment that has already been done. But for the student to be able to see the results, the first thing is this lecturer announce it. But for the student to be able to see the result, he has to evaluate this particular exam. Now, let me just show you guys how a student evaluated one exam here. This exam, this Agro exam, right? It has been announced. The students have seen the result, and before the student see the result, he must evaluate this exam. So let's click on this evaluation. So if you open this evaluation results, you will see how students evaluated this particular exam. So the overall score for this 53.3, which is an average percent. Now this is the overall. This is how the students evaluated it. Clarity of the question, difficulty level is 40%, clarity of the question is 40%, fairness of grading 60%, overall experience 60%, syllabus coverage 60%, average 60%. And for the sentiment part, you can say okay, okay, okay. That's what the student typed, and you can see how it's been classified into chat. Okay, that is how this works. So you can see this exam is currently running, right? So let's assume the student is currently writing this exam. If the student is not writing this exam, the instructor can be able to create another exam for a student, right? So that is how it works. Remember that if there are a lot of questions in that bank, even if you create no questions, it's not actually repeating the same questions that they gave to other students. So that's how we did it. Make sure you don't repeat any questions. But like I said, if you have more than 500, 1,000 questions, that will be more efficient so that in case a student misses exam and you want to create an exam for that particular student to write, it will automatically fetch a different question for that student, right? So that is how it works. So I can write while this exam is running, I can decide to remove a student from not writing this exam. Like if the student is not eligible, I'll click on this. I can be able to see currently now you can see these are the only students that is eligible to write this exam, right? I can decide to remove the students here. Once I remove the student will automatically be logged out and the student cannot write this exam anymore. Right? It can't write this exam anymore once it has been logged out. You cannot write it. So that is how this works. Okay, so I've explained all this. Now let's look at the select exam. Now this select exam, how it works is the lecturer, you can see this course, for instance, as structure. Now you can see the lecturer sets assessments up to three assessments here, right? Now now the way it works is all the students that did this exam, it will fall like this. Like you can see this student 120 this. If there are more than 200 students, it will fall like this with their own different scores for each of this exam. Now let's assume a student doesn't didn't write this, didn't write this. Instead of calculating the same average for the students, right? The lecturer explicitly can decide to check the ones that the student did rather than check it. Like you can see this one here. The student did not do this assessment, which is 0 over 30. The student did not do this assessment, which is 0 over 25. Now, assuming that this is not implemented, the system will just calculate everything like this and gives the student average of 15.8%, which is actually poor because there might be some reason why the student didn't actually write this. So we can explicitly select it, and this is actually the student score, which gives that 7.5%. That's how the lecturer will do it for all the courses he has taught, right? Remember that if these sessions have been closed, the lecturer cannot actually do this anymore. But you can see that there are two sessions running concurrently and the two sessions are open. That's why the lecturer can explicitly select them right easily. But if any of them will be closed, the lecturer cannot do anything. It will show that session will be closed. The lecturer cannot select any result anymore, right? So that is how this side works. You can see it explicitly allow the lecturer to select the results that he wants to populate, that he wants to use, and then populate to the portal, to the university portal. So that is how this is implemented. So we already explained this part. So right. So what is remaining now, right, is the exam results, which will be in a table form for all students. That is one. Then the other one will contain how each student answered and how there was being scored, right, in a printable format, in a PDF format, so that the lecturer will have his own copy and proof of how the students write the exam and how they are scored, and then find the lecturer will then signed, right? I think that is what is remaining now for this exam part. So in the next video, I'm going to be showing you guys how the student part works, and then finally I'm going to show you guys how the admin controls all the other part like session privileges, roles, and other things here in the system, right? Thank you. The other things I didn't try to show here in the this which is the video conferencing. I've not actually integrated into this one, right? But I've already built it separately, right? So video conferencing, and, but I will do that when we are hosting this live. Thank you and God bless you.